Yes, yes, we get to exist again. We get to be alive again today. Awesome, awesome. Guys, I came across this YouTube video documentary about the smallest country in the world, Bhutan. It's situated up in the Himalayan mountains area near India, and it's got a population of about 800,000 people now. What fascinated me about this country and these people is not so much the wilderness and the wild and the environment that they live in and how remote it is there, but it's their outlook on life and their view on material possessions and luxury and growth and prosperity and all those sorts of things that really fascinated me. Now, they live a very simple life and they want to keep it that way. If anyone needs material possessions and improvement in the quality of their life and increasing in the luxurious lifestyle, it'd have to be the Bhutanese people. If you see their way of life and where they are, simply because of just how bitterly cold it would be to live there and how remote and wild it is. But to them, it's not worth it. They're happy the way things are, and the trade-off for material possessions and a more luxurious lifestyle is just not worth it in their minds. And so they've preserved their way of living for a long, long time now, and they're happy with that. So let's take a look and see what they've got to say.
Did you know that the Kingdom of Bhutan is recognized for being one of the most isolated destinations in the world? It's a mountainous country situated at the eastern end of the Himalayas, which hinders access and communication with other countries. But they also voluntarily isolate themselves to preserve their culture and independence. Bhutan is one of the few countries where you can observe a low influence of modern culture.
As you can see there, they purposely preserve their culture and traditions because to them, they understand the value of it. They understand the importance of everyday life and general well-being, general happiness, as opposed to improving the quality of their life, improving luxury. So, they understand that and they want to keep that, which is a far cry from what we are doing here in the West, where we're basically pursuing more and more for us on a daily basis to the point where it's literally out of control. It's really taking a toll on us as individuals, and they haven't bought into that idea. They haven't bought into that lie that basically it's more important to improve your life than it is to live it.
It was in 1974 when the Bhutanese government began to allow the entry of foreigners into the country, but in very limited quantities. In the 18th century, the English attempted to establish relations, but they did not succeed, and to this day, only a few countries have diplomatic relations with Bhutan. This makes it one of the most authentic places in the world, as it still retains its traditions, customs, architecture, and ancestral society. But I can tell you many other curious facts about this country. Stay with me, because Bhutan is truly a unique country that will not leave you indifferent. 1. In Bhutan, success is not measured by gross domestic product, but by happiness. They focus on gross national happiness, which is based on the idea that the true wealth of a country is not found in money or material goods, but in the well-being and happiness of its people.
The well-being and happiness of their people. Yeah. Can you be happy in an environment like that? In a wild and bitterly cold environment like that? If they can do it, I know we all can. We don't want to. Yeah? And we're told we can't. So chase the almighty dollar day in, day out. Get 5 Ferraris in your garage. Go on your lavish holidays. And then you might be happy. Really? I'm not so sure about that.
This data is measured through 4 fundamental pillars: sustainable socioeconomic development, environmental conservation, preservation of culture, and good governance. They even have a Minister of Happiness, whose function is to promote and achieve the well-being of the population.
Yeah, we've got our own ministers in this country, plenty of them, a lot of them, ministers of every kind. We don't have any ministers of happiness. We've got ministers of authority, of all kinds, but as for happiness, I'm not interested in that. We don't care about that. We don't care if anyone's happy or not. We only care, is everyone working? Is everyone following all the rules and regulations? That's all they're interested in. As long as you're all doing that, everything's fine. Not interested in anything else. In the event that it becomes too much and too stressful for you, yeah, we'll have a hotline for you. There'll be someone there to talk to. Whether or not that's any help or not is anyone's guess. Whether or not they're not going to address the root of the problem, the cause of the problem. They might chit-chat about the symptoms and possibly address the symptoms of anxiety and depression. They're not going to mention the root cause of the problem at all. Not interested in that. So, they can have as many ministers as they want. It's not going to do anyone any good just to have more and more authority, more and more restriction over us. It just gets more and more stressful. A minister of happiness, that's one thing we need to introduce into these Western countries urgently, because that is something that is desperately needed.
The King of Bhutan, about whom I will soon tell you, has stated on several occasions that the happiness of his people is more important than material wealth. Therefore, Bhutan is distant from capitalism, which means that they do not have a high material wealth, although culturally they value spiritual wealth more, which, as you will see, they have much more developed. 2. Bhutan is one of the smallest countries in the world, with 14,692 square miles and a population of about 800,000 people. The
question is, what would you rather, live in a country with just 800,000 people and feel at peace, feel relaxed, feel happy, and live in harmony with one another? Or would you rather live in a country of millions and millions strong, where you can't even look at your neighbour anymore? If you look at someone for a second too long, they're going to want to come over and rip your head off, because they think you're starting something, or they think you're disrespecting them. It doesn't matter how many people strong we are. The negativity, the tension that we've got in these wealthy Western countries we're living in here, you could cut it with a knife. I mean, it is just out of control. I don't see people in Bhutan going around murdering each other or wanting to harm each other at all. They're living in harmony with each other, and if that's what it takes, it's just 800,000 people. You know, the question remains: what's better? Growth with, so many people, or harmony with a limited amount of people? It's a very important question.
Bhutanese have a strong connection with nature, a developed spirituality, and place great importance on the care of health and the environment. It's the first country to be carbon negative, meaning it absorbs more carbon dioxide than it emits.
The only country in the world that's carbon negative. They're giving back to the environment, not subtracting. In the event that global warming is real and it does become a significant problem for everyone on Earth, we Western countries are going to be held accountable to the smallest country in the world, Bhutan, and we're going to have a lot to answer for. Yeah, they are going to look at us and go, "You idiots! Look at what you've done. We are trying to fuel the world with goodness, and you have subtracted so much. You've ruined it for all of us." And the smallest country in the world is going to put us in place. We're only very lucky that it hasn't already happened.
Also, it is the only country in the world where the sale and production of tobacco is prohibited, a measure that seeks to protect the health of its citizens and promote a healthier lifestyle. 3. Bhutan has been isolated until not long ago. It began to open up to the world from the 1960s, during the reign of the third king of Bhutan, Jigme Dorji Wangchuk, when the country initiated a modernization process to improve the quality of life of its population and develop diplomatic relations with other countries. Although initially the restrictions were very strict, in 1974, Bhutan allowed the entry of a limited number of foreign tourists. This restrictive tourism policy is called high-value, low-impact tourism, which aims to protect the environment, culture, and traditions of Bhutan while generating income to finance development and improve the lives of its citizens.
As you can see, their temptation to cash in on the tourism industry, they've been able to avoid the temptation, even though they know what the rewards could be, the benefits of that. Like every other country in the world, they know the rewards, they know the benefits of doing that, but they've minimized on that, knowing that if it gets out of hand, there's going to be nothing left of their country. It's not going to have any cultural tradition left at all. And so they stand by what they believe in. They hold on to the value regardless of the fact that they can do what a lot of countries have already done: open their gates to the world and let them come in and see, and it'll completely dismantle their culture.
Animals that inhabit Bhutanese territory are the Malayan giant squirrel, the Bengal tiger, the red panda, and the snow leopard. The latter lives in the highest and most remote regions at altitudes between 9,842 and 13,123 feet in extreme and cold conditions. Due to its low population, elusive nature, shyness, and ability to camouflage, the snow leopard is one of the most difficult felines to spot. 22. Bhutanese women have a significant responsibility in society and enjoy a series of rights and freedoms, traditionally more so than men. Bhutanese society has a matrilineal inheritance. That is, property and family assets are passed down through the female line, giving women a considerable economic and social position. In daily life, women work in various sectors. such as agriculture, education, healthcare, and government. In rural areas, they are usually responsible for agricultural tasks and home care, while in urban areas, more and more women are joining the workforce in professional and technical positions. 23. Although love marriages are becoming more common in Bhutan, especially in urban areas, arranged marriages still exist, particularly in rural communities. Parents often take the initiative in seeking a suitable spouse for their children, consulting an astrologer to determine the compatibility of the couples. In marriages, men perform a significant part of the household chores, often cook, and traditionally are the ones who make or repair clothing, but do not weave the fabric. In larger localities, a somewhat more Western pattern of family structure is emerging, with the husband as the provider of food and the wife in charge of the home.
As for the husband taking on a more Western role as the man of the house, providing for the family, bringing in food, bringing in money, that's actually not the case anymore in Western countries. That used to be the case. Now women are going out and working like men and providing an income and providing food for the family like a man used to. So that is actually a thing of the past in Western countries. Whereas the Bhutanese people are actually going back to that, back to the good old days where we used to be like that and where relationships worked, everyone knew their role, everyone carried out their role, and it was successful. As we begin to move away from that, where women take on more of a leadership role, more of a provider role, relationships are breaking down. So the Bhutanese people are not taking on more of a Western role. They're going back in time to where we used to be and where it used to work well. And they're finding that that's working better than any other scenario. So are we even going in the right direction there? Because we are heading further and further away from those good old days where it used to be hard, but it worked. Relationships worked. And now the Bhutanese people are taking up that way and it's working for them. So
24. Polygamy is legal, although there are fewer and fewer cases. It was practiced more in the past, particularly among the nobility and wealthy families. But over time, customs and attitudes have been changing, and today it is an infrequent and not so accepted practice. An example of polygamy is the fourth king of Bhutan, Higme Zingye Wangchuk, the father of the current king, who is married to 4 wives. Polyandry, a woman married to several men, is practiced by the Brokpa ethnic group and in Laya, a population in northwestern Bhutan. Having a woman married to several brothers ensures that the children inherit the land and herds from the same family. On the other hand, these are remote places where marrying strangers is frowned upon. Usually, an elder man or brother is the leader of the household, and the others are considered equal companions of the woman.
now that polygamy or polyandry, where a woman would actually marry all the brothers of another family, that was practiced in the past. It's actually illegal there now, so they don't do that anymore at all. But even when they did do that, that is completely different to the polygamy that we are familiar with in the West. Any woman would go with any man from any nationality, any country, any time, any day, and the more the better. This is completely different. They would most definitely not marry or have relations with other nationalities, and it was more of a marriage setting, not just a one night stand type of thing. So it's really uncomparable. And the only reason why they did that was to share the wealth of the brothers so that one brother didn't have more wealth over the other brothers. Whatever wealth they did have would be shared when they became like a family. When they were to marry the same woman, all of their assets became shared among them, even though the oldest brother would have more control over it all. They still shared in all that they brought to the relationship. So it's very unusual, and it's a thing of the past, but it's not to be confused with the polygamy that we have in Western countries now, where it's just absolutely out of control. Does it bring happiness? Probably not.
In any case, it is a practice that is dying out as new generations receive more advanced education and move to more populated places. 25. The adult literacy rate in Bhutan is relatively low, with about 70% of people being literate, although it has increased by 20% since 1980. Among young people, it is much higher, around 93%, indicating that progress is being made in access.
Now, I'll just stop that there because this documentary is actually about 45 minutes long, and I won't go through the whole video. I'll leave a link in the description to the whole documentary so that you can watch it uninterrupted the whole way through if you wanted to find out more about this country. I just wanted to make my observations and my points about what it is that we're doing differently here. Have we got something to learn from the Bhutanese people about the way we view life, the way we're living our lives? Because I understand the benefits. There's no denying that there's benefits, especially in an environment like that, to living more luxurious, to having the food you need, being able to purchase firewood instead of collecting it manually, all the, chores and hardships they go through just to get through the day. Anyone can tell that there's going to be benefits from having things that you're able to buy when you need them, so that you free up more time for yourself to do what you enjoy. We get that. There are benefits in these Western countries with having money in the bank, having your own property. We understand all of that. But at the same time, we've taken it so far that it's not just about, having that roof over your head, having the money that you need to buy the things that you need. It's gone way beyond that. It's gone to the point where unless you're in the top 10% as a man, you are going to be insignificant. You are going to be invisible to society. If you're not succeeding and striving to make more of yourself, you're a nobody. You're just a failure and mean nothing. And so it is a constant strive just to keep your head above water. And even if you do that, well, there's more to go. Right now, the dating game in Western countries is where, if you are not one of the most successful men, you're non-existent. You don't even stand a chance, because they don't value just individuals for being alive, for existing, for being conscious, a man that takes care of himself, whatever, unless he's doing something bigger and better than anybody else, he's useless. So the thing is, guys, we've been forced into this situation. There's no turning back from it now. It's literally irreversible, the direction that we're going in, chasing more and more wealth, more and more riches, going from 8-hour days to 10-hour days. We're inching into 12-hour days now, and it still doesn't seem to be enough. This is what the owners of this world wanted, the leaders of this world wanted, and they've got it.
Good, honest, hardworking people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hardworking people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all, at all, at all.
And this is where we're at. And not only are we forced into it by political leaders, etc., but we've now got huge social influences, social media influencers online, like Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, whatever, talking about the matrix, how to escape it. But even they themselves are saying, well, look, actually don't worry about happiness. Actually forget about that. It's not important. Your purpose is more important. Succeeding, achieving is more important than anything, regardless of whether it's going to make you happy at the end of the day. Now, this is a big call. This really is a big, big statement for them to be saying. They better be right. That first of all, people are going to believe them. They're going to believe them because they're so successful. They're highly respected. They know so much about the world. How can they be wrong? People, they're all over the internet. Surely they can't be wrong about that. Well, they probably can.
Hell, first of all, don't aim at being happy, because that's just not going to work, especially when the storms come and barbarians are beating at the gate. You can just forget about that. And there's going to be times in your life where you're suffering so much you can't believe it. And so you're going to need something a hell of a lot more robust than happiness to get you through that. And then you might say, well, what's more robust than happiness? Or maybe even what's more robust than pain? How about adventure? How about we go out and sail the uncharted seas,
They probably can. They're so far gone and so far into it, knowing that there's no turning back, but they're out telling everyone, actually, you should all do that now. Not only should you work as many hours as you possibly can every day, but don't worry about whether or not it's going to bring any happiness at the end of the day at all. It's not important anymore, actually. Achievement is more important. That does not sound very brilliant to me. That'd be effectively like going to a restaurant, and instead of actually getting the meal that you enjoy and satisfy your hunger and appetite at the end of it, all as you get is a bunch of pictures and a bunch of recipes and talk about what's on the menu, without actually getting a meal, without actually enjoying a meal at the end of it, and walking out still hungry, the same as you did when you walked in. Now, I don't know about you, but I definitely wouldn't go to any restaurant if that was the case. I wouldn't be interested in that. Now, there's no doubt that some people do live very comfortable and very happy lives, especially the elderly. They live very relaxed and peaceful lives. They've worked their whole lives and they've finally gotten there. And even younger people, on occasions, when all the stars aligned, they might come in contact with a bit of peace. They might have a day or two where everything is just absolutely wonderful. And they get to truly appreciate their lives and be very, very happy and satisfied. But it's so temporary when that chase for more and more continues, that is that really enough to just temporarily, momentarily feel something good, where all the rest of the days, years, months don't matter? I don't know. If that's all it comes down to, if that's all you get, that's not a lot. I mean, you think about it. If someone was selling a business to another businessman and they told them, oh, this business, yeah, it makes money from time to time, but most of the time it doesn't do anything. It just operates. Do you think a businessman would buy into a business like that? Would a businessman buy a business that on occasions makes money? He wouldn't poke it with a 10-foot pole, unless they can see clear records that business is making a profit continuously over time, don't want to have anything to do with it. They're not going to purchase that business. They won't go near it. Making money on occasions is not going to cut it. You're not buying a business just for the sake of having the business. So why should our lives be any different? If we're going to momentarily, temporarily, on occasions, feel some joy, feel some peace, but as for the rest of the time, it's going to be total chaos. That is not a very successful business and not a very successful life, if you ask me. Every moment that we're alive is a real miracle. Not only a miracle, it's something so valuable you cannot put a price tag to every moment. And every moment is just as important as the next one. It's not about waiting for on occasions something good might be happening. The miracle is happening right now. We're alive. Each and every moment, there's something incredibly precious and valuable about each moment. And that is what the people of Bhutan understand and have recognized, that to be alive for any moment in time is incredibly precious, incredibly valuable, and it needs to be appreciated and enjoyed for what it is. Every moment that comes is an opportunity to feel that regardless of what your wealth, regardless of your circumstances, every moment is important. And we should truly recognize that and not forget that as we get completely lost in this pursuit and chase for being higher and higher, and more to keep up with everybody else. And hopefully we don't fall back, don't give up, don't back off for a second, otherwise you'll be overtaken. This is what we've put on, these are the demands we've put on ourselves, and we're allowing that to happen. But that's not the way it's supposed to be at all. And I think we've got a lot to learn from the people of Bhutan, because even though on the surface they might not look successful or happy, if they're happier than us, they're a success story. We're not. Even if they've only got 5 teeth in their mouth, but they get to smile and they feel like smiling, that is what I call true success. This is not. If you're going to have all the wealth in the world but can barely bring yourself to crack a smile and feel some niceness, feel some enjoyment, contentment, and appreciation for existing, what have you got? What have you got then? Not much. So, guys, I hope I've brought some inspiration to reevaluate the world you live in, the people you're surrounded by, and more importantly, yourself. Reevaluate the way you view yourself. Don't forget that it is a true miracle to exist, to be an individual that's alive, and we shouldn't forget that, and we shouldn't let these chaotic lives blur that out to the point where we completely forget about it, and we completely disregard the true value of what we've got as individuals. So thanks for listening, guys.